All right, I've been on the Art Loeb Trail for about 7/10 of a mile now, and still by the river. There's the Davidson River, very popular for recreation, fishing, tubing, swimming. And the Art Loeb Trail for the first 7/10 of a mile follows this little single, or actually two-lane walking path, popular with bicyclists and pedestrians. And here's where it veers off to actually go into the woods and resemble more of a trail. So let's take this path and have some fun. There's a little stream. White blaze for the Art Loeb Trail till you get up to Shining Rock Wilderness, where it's not supposed to be blazed. And here we're going to begin our first slight ascent. So anyway, I'm going to tell you the reason why I chose to do the Art Loeb Trail instead of the Appalachian Trail is because, for one thing, a friend and I had done this together last year in the spring. We did it north to south, and we were talking about it again. I got nostalgic over it. He got nostalgic over it. And honestly, I wanted to attempt it, what is considered by many to be the harder direction, Nobo, or south to north. And you just have more hills to climb. Seems like you're always climbing going in this direction. And I know this because I've done a lot of day hikes, and I've gone up some of the more significant portions of the trail on day hikes, and it is brutal. So wanted to challenge myself and see if I can get this done in 2 days. When we did it last year, we did 16 miles day one and finished up day two with the remaining 14 miles. So I'm gonna see what I can do here tonight. Start a little late, after 5. Gonna try and kill at least 10 if I can make it before sunset. If not, I'll do what I can do. Tomorrow will be my big mile day. Try and knock out 15 to 20 and finish up Tuesday. So stay with me. You're gonna see some awesome sights and get to experience this trail secondhand through me. Save you some of the steps. So I'm getting rained on now. Only a couple miles in, already getting rained. Just something you got to deal with. But hopefully it'll cool things down because the humidity was way up. So get back with you in a little bit. All right, I'm at my campsite for the night. Day one. It's after 8 o'clock. Sun is starting to set, and got a nice little spot here under the tree. Give me a little bit of protection from the elements, morning dew or whatever. And I got my tent all laid out here. Footprint is on the bottom here. Everything's color coordinated on the Big Agnes copper spur. So you got the orange side here, gray side there, so the tent matches up to the footprint. I got the tent poles out right here, so I'm going to show you how it sets up. And I just wanted to get it all laid out before I got started, so let me demonstrate. This takes up too much time. I'm going to fast forward to save time on the video. But some people have asked that I show how I set up my tent in my camp. So I'm going to demonstrate. See, this tent clips onto the tent poles like so. It doesn't have sleeves that you run the tent poles through like some tents. Just have to get it situated. I do believe that's wrong on that side. It goes on this side. we will make it go aloft. Bring it down a little bit. This is a couple minutes setup here. Shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes to set these tents up. But still, it's going to take some time just to get everything together. Oops. It's a pain in the butt. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm pretty tired. I worked today, so it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but it's taken care of. And now we got that done. Actually, I want to move this up a little bit. Clip came undone. Now we put the rain fly on it to protect. Always a comfort to have a campfire. The light and the heat, just very comforting, soothing. Kind of puts you in a trance to go to sleep. You can't see it, the tent's over there. All right, I've passed the Cat Gap Loop intersection. I got on the trail a little bit late this morning. Started at about 8:17. Woke up had my alarm set for 5:30, but I got up at 6:15. So I just chilled at camp for a while, made some videos. And now I just wanted to show you this first good hill climb here. Actually, there have been several smaller hill climbs, but this one's pretty non-stop. And this is just past the Cat Gap Loop intersection. And it's pretty overgrown here too, which is what I figured this time of year. I don't know if they're maintaining the Art Loeb Trail or not, because I did see some deadfall in places, but there were some reroutes or detours, you know, short little detours that just took you around the deadfall. Anyway, just to give you an idea of all the hill climbs you can expect on the Art Loeb, especially going northbound. So, and there are plenty more to come, so stay with me and I'll show you more. Another climb. And this is before the big climb of Pilot Mountain and Silvermine Bald, up past the parkway, where the Art Loeb shares some of its distance with the Mountains to Sea Trail before Black Mountain. Fun times. Getting hot too. I'm now going up Pilot Mountain. Relentless climbing. Thankfully now there's switchbacks. In the start of this section of the trail, it was just straight up climbing. But here, I'll take you ahead and you can see how steep it gets. It's gnarly. All these rocks and roots. Never gets any easier. Well, it does, but still a challenge every time I do it. Because I've done it on numerous day hikes. See, it switches back, but it's still steep. So I'm taking my time, trying to enjoy this. I'm not trying to kill myself or do it so fast that my heart pounds out of my chest. Continues on and on. Take you a little further, and then next stop will be the top. Ooh. Jeez. See that? I believe it was 1,200 feet elevation gain and 1 mile alone on this section of the trail going northbound. So you could tell it's pretty darn steep. One of the hardest trails around in western North Carolina because of that severe elevation gain. I'd be breathing heavier if I was rushing up the mountain, but I'm going at a slower pace so I can enjoy it, or at least attempt to enjoy it, or make myself believe I'm enjoying it. Here it's really thick. So I'm going to turn it off from here, and I'll show you once I get to the top, because I've encountered a rattlesnake on this trail too 4 years ago, so I'm going to be wary. Almost 2 miles of relentless climbing. I finally made it to the top of Pilot Mountain. In this heat, it's brutal. Be better to come here in the wintertime. Last time I was here was in the fall on a long day hike of 19 miles, where this was part of a loop I did called the Deep Gap Loop. Oh man, yeah, this was friggin' rough. I think that's the hardest section on the Art Loeb. Silver Mine Bald is next, and that's pretty hard, but it's much shorter past the parkway where the Art Loeb shares the Mountains to Sea Trail for, I don't know, what is it, about 1.5 miles, 2 miles, something like that. And then it joins up at crosses the road at Black Balsam parking lot and Crest Black Balsam. So anyway, just filtering some water from the stream, or from the spring I should say. It's a pipe spring here. See? Here at Deep Gap Shelter, filling up all my bottles, making sure I have enough, because this trail has few and far between water sources, so you really need to fill everything up when you can. Anyway, the water is running through my filter. In the bag it's unfiltered water, but it's filtered water in my bottles. I add my electrolyte tablets and powders, and I'm good to go. Keeps me solid, so I can continue the journey. I've reached Farlow Gap, which connects with Daniel Ridge Loop Trail. Lots of campsites around here. Take you up here. Not too far away from the parkway now. Just have to climb a bit to get there. On my quest north on the Art Loeb Trail. Here you go. I'll show you something of of significance. There you go. Art Gap Trail. Down there would be Daniel Ridge Loop. Down towards the river. There's the Blue Ridge Parkway, where the trail crosses the parkway and climbs up there. Silver Mine Bald. Whew. Man, I've had enough climbing. I've been climbing steadily just from Farlow Gap, even from Deep Gap to Farlow Gap, so it's been pretty consistent. Whew. Talk about a hard trail. And so far I would definitely say that it's harder going northbound compared to the first time I did it with Gavin. When we went southbound, yeah, this is harder. These hills are much steeper, much longer. So now we're going to climb Shuck Ridge past Silver Mine Bald up to where the Art Loeb Trail converges with the Mountains to Sea Trail. So, see how steep it is. Let's walk along here. Man, it is just gonna be fun. I think, because I've done this before on a day hike, that this is steeper than Pilot Mountain, just nowhere near as long. So, there goes the car on the parkway. Camper truck. Whew. So here we go. Well, at least it's got switchbacks though, for now. I know there are places where you have to lift your legs up pretty high up ahead there. I'm going to turn this off now because I need to concentrate to get to the top. I don't want to delay it. Finally at the top. Here's where the Art Loeb Trail connects with the Mountains to Sea Trail. So you make a right here to continue going north. And that's where I came from. Very steep, but a lot shorter than Pilot Mountain. So now I should have it pretty flat for at least a couple miles till I get to Black Balsam, and we'll figure out where we're going to camp. I camped here before, back in 2015, when I moved back to this area. I don't know what they did with the fire pit. There was a fire pit right here on this lower ground. Somebody removed it, but yeah, I wanted to camp here ever since I had seen two girls camped here the year before, 2014, and when I came back up from Florida, I found the place perfectly suitable to camp at, and there was nobody here, so it was great. And you get some great views over here, albeit it's still overgrown because it's summertime, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. I heard coyotes that night also. What sounded like coyotes howling in the distance. Keeps getting better and better. The phone is dying, so I'm gonna have to put it on the charger here in a little bit. So I won't be able to film as much as I wanted to here at the highlight of the trail. This is the best section of the trail in my opinion. The open views, Black Balsam and Tennant Mountain, all the way to Shining Rock. And there in the distance is Graveyard Fields parking lot. Beautiful up here. Almost to Tennant Mountain. Beautiful. This is the way the trail looks over here. You go through these thick bushes over here. Thick. I'll show you this way. But you get some great views along the way. That's Tennant Mountain. That's where I'm heading. So check this out. Beautiful trail, huh? That it is. One of my favorites. That's why I've been here probably more than any other trail in western North Carolina. For one thing, it's one of the closest by car to get this kind of bang for your buck from where I live. This is just amazing. I never get tired of these views when I come here. Look at those ridges. Just ridges on top of ridges. The Sea of the Blue Ridge. Look at those rays of sunlight coming through the clouds. Shining down into the valleys. Almost at the top of Tennant Mountain. And I have it all to myself too, there's nobody here. So this is where the Art Loeb continues over those ridges. Next stop would be Flower Gap. And you can see shining rock right over there on that third ridge. Zoom in. You see it? That little rocky outcropping there, white quartz rock outcropping on the third ridge in the pines. That's it. That's where you head on this trail. And then on to Cold Mountain would be the spur trail, but the trail continues west, southwest, to go back to Camp Daniel Boone. So I'm hiking in the dark on the Little East Fork Trail, which takes you back to Camp Daniel Boone as well as the Art Loeb does. And it's, I don't know, close to 2 o'clock. I lost track of the time. I haven't looked in a little bit. I went to sleep at about 10:30. You know, no issues. Really tired. Didn't get to camp until close to 9. And I was awoken abruptly by the sound of something crashing and making terrible racket in my camp at about 12:20, so I barely got 2 hours of sleep. And still heard it. It sounded like it was more than one. It sounded like to me it was a bear or two bears, or it sounded like two bears fighting actually, because they were chasing. It sounded like they were chasing each other and grunting and making those sounds, you know, like as if two animals were fighting. And it was right in my camp, crashing around. And then I heard them leave the camp, choo, 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 you know, crashing through the brush. And I still heard one out there for, I don't know, best part of a half an hour afterwards, while I just debated what to do, because I knew I wasn't going to go back to sleep. And so I decided I wasn't going to hang out there any longer, because for one thing, I couldn't get back to sleep, and I don't like feeling vulnerable like that in a situation. So, I mean, I made a lot of noise. When they woke me up, I yelled, and I blew my whistle, which is like a 25 decibel whistle. But, like I said, I still heard something out there tearing something up. So, anyway, I'm walking in the dark along the river here, the Little East Fork of the Pigeon River, back to Camp Daniel Boone in my car. Been hiking now for about 2 miles, since close to 1:20, and like I said, it's somewhere after 2 now. But I know when I get back to my car, I'm not going to want to go back home either, because I have an hour drive. I'll probably just sleep in my car until dawn. So anyway, I've rambled enough. Just keeping me company, talking to this thing while I'm walking in the dark. So, not the first time I've hiked in the dark. You know, in one of my other videos, I hike in the dark. But, yeah, this isn't the way I wanted to end my hike. I was going to do 2 nights. 2 days and 2 nights. Well, 3 days, I guess, if you count part of the day Sunday when I started, and part of the day to what, I guess this is Tuesday. But whatever, I'm still getting out of here. Oh, and I decided to take the Little East Fork Trail just because it was easier alternative. I've already been through the Narrows, where the Art Loeb goes up into what's called the Narrows, and because it gets really narrow up there and climbs very steeply, and I was done with climbs. You know, I've done that on day hikes, that section, and I've done it when I through hiked the Art Loeb with my friend last year, coming up from Camp Daniel Boone south to the Davidson River Campground. So I didn't need to do it again. This is might even be more mileage when it's all said and done, taking Little East Fork Trail back instead of the Art Loeb. So anyway, that's it.